painfully obvious is that Charlie Kirk is
Hi, greetings, family.
the statistics he
I
misquote.
I was thinking about this guy that just got killed. Charlie Kirk is his name. One of Trump's supporters, and I gotta say, it's sad that our politics in America has returned to assassinating politicians that we disagree with or whatever. However, this is something. This attitude and this temperament is something that I feel the president, instigated from the beginning of his first campaign. When he was saying things like, people that talked against him, that was at his rallies, knocked the hell out of them. He's even, talked about, as far as protesters, just shoot them in the legs, And in other words, he really wanted to say shoot them, period. But to sound like, it would sound a little better if he just said shoot them in the legs, And thank God we had some military people as well as law enforcement officials that, just, didn't agree with that and they didn't go along with that scenario, But this guy, Charlie Kirk, was someone, he was a superstar amongst the MAGA people, and something that it reminds me of is, I remember reading somewhere in the Bible where, it reminded me about how the devil has a way, has a velvet tongue sometimes that can talk, and persuade people to come and believe in him, in it, I would say, and to change their ways and their values and their morals, and he was that kind of guy. People say, well, a lot of people, he had rallies and people were, it was crowds out there, and he would answer questions. But the thing about it, when I looked into his history, he said a lot of things that was racist. He felt as though blacks, because there were more blacks in prison than whites, that blacks committed more crimes than whites, and he had very derogatory things to say about, civil rights leaders, and that the civil rights movement kind of like hijacked the I guess the focus of America, back in the 60s, whereas it made the country and the people in this country yield to the wrongs that were being done unto African Americans and as also women, and it has gone on. It has spread. The civil rights movement has spread into the LGBT plus people and so many others. It's like the civil rights helped out anyone that was being oppressed. And this guy here was a silver tongue for Trump and the MAGA movement. And although we do have to keep our humanity intact. He was someone's father, somebody's son, somebody's husband. Someone's brother, or whatever, uncle. He had a place in people's lives. However, he was a man that was a part of the instigation of the division in this country. And although he had a gift of gab, he said something at one time about it needs to be people getting shot in order to keep order in this country. Now, he wasn't talking about white people being shot. He's talking about anybody but white people being shot, primarily blacks. You know what I'm saying? He really didn't say blacks from the part that I seen, but two and two. You know what I mean? But anyway, it was like so when he got shot, and I seen the film, right? And him making statements about people. Some people need to be shot, and that everybody deserves their right to have guns, and this, that. It's, to me, it reminded me when Malcolm said something about the chickens come home to roost. The energy that you send out into the universe will come back. Some people call it spiritual balance, right? Trump also, although I honestly believe Trump situation is just my thoughts, was staged, honestly, I believe that young man that they shot and killed, that shot at Trump, really was set up. That's just my belief, because it was too many unanswered questions with the security around there. Why was this kid so close? How could the kid get in there so close with a gun, a long gun at that there, get up on a roof when they have security that's looking high and low for anyone to be shooting? And the thing about it, they made sure that kid, was shot down, was killed, eliminated, erased, neutralized, as they say. You know what I'm saying? So, this guy, Charlie Kirk, was an agent for division. And, MAGA people, as well as, the supremacists, they still are itching for this race war, and a lot of them, they know, as we should know, that if there was to be a race war, they're counting on the military branches to be down with them. It would be a battle that in their eyes they see that they would totally annihilate it. Something that God would not go for. God would not go for nothing, his chosen people, to be mowed down, when we are the Alpha and Omega. In some ways, I honestly believe that, although slavery, as horrific as it was, and the hatred that we still live through, I believe in some way in God's genius that we are part of the mission that we went through of coming here and coming from nothing into becoming where we're at today, and even having a man of African descent to make it to the White House, that we are here to show the enemies of God, of God's children, you call them Satan, or you call them whatever, the dark forces, that no matter even at us being at our lowest point in on this planet, that our energy will still rise to the top. And no matter how much this guy Charlie Kirk, I don't want to say program, but he grandstand about separation and the rights of whites in this country, and the MAGA movement and different things like that. There, I'm gonna tell you, it's like he actually was itching for. We at a point right now where it could have actually been one of the MAGAs, because right now some of them see the lie and the deceit, and the betrayal that their leader, I always call him, King Ding Dong, they see the poison that he has put into our country, and now there's even a civil war amongst the MAGA people. You know what I'm saying? So with my people, if there was to be, some that crazy war or whatever, all we need to do is sit back, unless it comes to our door, and let these people, continue to, annihilate each other, because it's the energy that they're putting out is returning to them. And we're going to see more. I believe we're going to see a whole lot more. And when I look at that guy's shirt, he proudly had that flag. That's what MAGA does. It's a MAGA man. Keep watching. Peace.